Friday, Moz fans. So today I want to talk about what might strike you as a basic question or an obvious question, when to do SEO, and also to some extent what doing SEO might look like. Now, obviously there's some generalizations here. I'm talking about rules of thumb. But when I worked, so before I worked at Moz, I worked agency side as a consultant, and it was quite a common problem, and I think this happens, from what I've heard, in a lot of different SEO agencies and with a lot of different SEO consultants, where we would be approached by businesses either that wanted to do SEO, but actually maybe it wasn't the right time or the right investment for them to be making, or businesses that wanted to do SEO, had a specific idea about the kind of SEO they wanted to do, and again, it wasn't actually the right fit, and we didn't feel comfortable selling that because maybe they weren't going to see results, and then that would reflect badly on everyone, be a waste of money for them. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how I think about these things, just in some general starting terms. So absolute minimum, in order to do SEO, you're going to need to have some kind of web presence. Now, ideally, you're going to have your own website, right? Like that's easiest. Then you definitely own all of the traffic that you get, and you can definitely make changes and this kind of thing. It is, of course, possible to do SEO without having your own website. You can do Barnacle SEO, where you try to appear in directories or LinkedIn Pulse, whatever it might be. Or you can try and do only local SEO, so you're trying to appear in Google local listings without actually having a website referenced. But generally speaking, ideally, you're going to have a website. You need to have something, ideally a website. The second thing that is, I would say, a need to have is at least some amount of runway. SEO is not a channel where you're going to get instant results the next day that will pay for themselves. Partly, it takes a while for changes that you might, or campaigns that you might pursue to take effect and to actually improve your performance in organic. And partly, organic isn't always, but can be a more top of funnel or middle of funnel orientated channel. So those people aren't going to instantly convert. Now, there are exceptions here, but generally speaking, a good amount of runway is going to be important. How much runway that is obviously going to depend on your circumstance. Nice to have, so I would be very concerned about pursuing SEO or promising results from SEO without these. So some kind of brand, you don't need this, but you do need this for some keywords. I tend to think if you want to rank in the top few positions for a really competitive term, most of the time you are going to need a brand that people recognize and are comfortable with to do that. There are some exceptions, some verticals where basically nobody has a brand. And so even the most competitive terms you can go for. But generally speaking, and I've put out data on Whiteboard Fridays and on the Moz blog in the past showing that the more competitive the term and the higher you rank, the more it becomes really a necessity to have a strong brand, especially with some recent algorithm updates. And again, a nice to have, and you can work without this, but it's difficult. Some search demand. People need to be searching for what you are selling. If they're not, you can do the kind of campaign where you try to rank for related terms. Say I've just invented a new masonry-based vegetable substitute. So you can just eat masonry all day. Nobody's searching for this, right? Nobody's searching for masonry-based vegetable substitutes. So I might try and rank for vegetarian recipes, and then people will discover when I talk about my masonry-based vegetable substitute in my article. Obviously, I don't sell this product and it shouldn't exist. But it's much easier if you do already have keyword volume for the thing that you're actually selling. Again, it's not absolutely necessary, but it's definitely a nice to have. And I'd be very cautious about recommending someone pursue SEO as their main marketing channel that didn't have this to work with. So some examples of businesses I would say probably shouldn't bother. Rolls-Royce Aerospace, they're actually called Rolls-Royce Holdings PLC, I think technically. But so this is a company that sells small nuclear reactors and jet engines. I would say that when governments, militaries, whoever else wants to buy this kind of thing, they're probably not Googling it, right? They have existing connections, they know who to ask. There might be ways in which Rolls-Royce want to improve awareness and visibility in the industry or with the general public. Those probably still don't really look like SEO. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a website or that they should pay zero attention whatsoever, but I definitely wouldn't be recommending, if Rolls-Royce want an effective marketing campaign, it probably shouldn't be SEO-led. new apps and startups. So this was a common thing when I worked agency side. We didn't get many inquiries from Rolls-Royce, unfortunately, but we did get a lot of inquiries from brand new apps and startups. Maybe they have funding, but they don't have any customers yet, this kind of stage. And often they need results so quickly, and they have such little to work with in terms of existing brand or authority, that SEO is just not the best channel for them to start with. If they've got the budget to do one marketing channel to start out, it probably shouldn't be SEO. Maybe when they've built a bit of brand, they've got some customers, it's got some recognition, and they've been talked about a little bit, maybe then, and they've got some more content on the website, maybe then it makes sense to start thinking about SEO as their second or third marketing channel that they take seriously, but probably not the first. And lastly, hedge funds. So I'm just using this as an example of a business that doesn't really do acquisition marketing, right? That's just not how they function. They're not trying to attract customers in that same way. They might try and attract investors or whatever through word of mouth, but they're not trying to attract customers in that way. They might want to take advice from people who do understand SEO, but they're not going to probably pursue their own SEO campaigns. So those are some examples of people I think shouldn't bother. What if you're one of the businesses, and I think it is most businesses, that should engage with SEO? So the next step is, are they trying to pursue the right kind of campaign? So now I must be honest here. I don't know who came up with it first. Charts like this is often how I've thought about this kind of problem, but I've definitely seen other people use them as well. So I've seen them from Aleyda, from Mark Williams Cook. I have no idea who came up with these first, so apologies to whoever I'm originally copying. But I've tried to take my own spin on it, and this is more how I think about this. So step one is decide whether you should prioritize on-site SEO, so you're making changes to your own website, or off-site SEO, or some combination. And I think I've used brand authority as the sort of indicator here. I tend to think the more established you are, the higher your existing brand authority, probably the more existing presence you have, the more the on-site SEO is going to be more rewarding. Now, you've already gotten into that competition at the top of the most competitive SERPs. Do you really need to do more brand building, more link building at that stage? Probably a little bit, but it's not going to be your main concern. It's more about making sure that people who land on those pages find what they expect to find, have a good experience, that you're ranking for the right terms, this kind of thing. On the other hand, if you're a very new business, maybe it's only you've only been around for a couple of years, you've been showing some other kind of marketing channel, now you want to try organic, you're just not going to register. Whatever content you put out, it's going to take a very long time for it to appear. Google's not going to take it super seriously. You're not even going to be in the running. And in these cases, off-site SEO, whether it be PR or brand campaigns or link building, whatever it might be, that's going to be more relevant if you're at that very early stage. So once you've decided which of these, or as I say, probably some combination you're going to do, I think it divides out again. So if you end up doing off-site, you're going to want to decide whether your key metrics are going to be focused on brand or links. And I think this has to do with basically how much traffic you have. So if you're a very young site, your off-site work probably looks like link building to try and get search engines to notice you in the first place. If you're a more mature site and you're trying to make your way up from ranking third to first for these terms that you really care about, it's probably going to look more about brand building, about recognition, about people choosing to click on you when they see you in the SERPs, about Google seeing people search for your brand plus the head term, this kind of thing. If you end up doing on-site, then I would say it comes down to how many pages you have. So if you have a very small website, regardless of how authoritative it might be, if you have a very small website, it's going to be very important for you to produce content. You're not going to rank without content, and that should be your main focus. You never really stop working on content, but it might stop being the most lucrative work, because when you have a large number of pages, and I'm talking about thousands or more, when you have a large number of pages, technical SEO starts to really show dividends. When you have 5 pages on your website, technical SEO is just, can Google see them, really, and index them. When you have a larger website, there's a lot more you can do, a lot more opportunity. So hopefully, as I say, this is very approximate. This is rules of thumb. I'd love to know if other people have similar sort of heuristics that they work with, but I hope that this is helpful. And yeah, thank you very much.